Get in here, get in here, get in here. I'm gonna give you a tour of my bedroom, my bathroom. Y'all been asked for a tour of my house, but we not there yet, okay? Let's date for a little while before I show y'all the full shebang, all right? But listen, I'm gonna give y'all a tour of my bedroom, my bathroom, my closet, baby. It's a beautiful closet, all right? I'm gonna show you that. And then what I'm gonna do is we're gonna have a little sit down, okay? Some tea time. We're gonna talk about what is it like to live and date here in South Africa. This is from my perspective as an African American. I know that different people have different perspectives when they come here, but this is my perspective. So get in here, get in here, get in here, all right? Let me show you my boudoir first, okay, baby? A girl needs a boudoir, don't you agree, honey? If your room doesn't feel like a boudoir, you're not doing it the right way, okay? This is my boudoir, okay? Let me make sure my sheets are nice, okay? So this is the bed, okay? Now this is one of these little cute beds. You know, I used to see it on TV, and honey, this is the bed where when you hit the button, it goes up like this. Like, you know, like it inclines up. So when I'm sitting in bed, okay, when I'm laying here in bed sometimes, you know how it is when you in bed, honey, all right? This is what happens when you're almost 40, okay, and above, okay? You be in bed, honey, you fall asleep, you got your TV remote on this titty, and you got your crumbs from your food on this one. That's me, okay, but it's just the bed inclines up. All right, and then wake up and cut everything off. Okay, but that's just that. What I love about my bedroom is this. Let me show you this, let me show you this. This little keypad here, it does so much, okay? It can control the lights in here, it can control the lights out there, it even has some security features in it. Watch out now. So that's my bed, all right? I got a bunch of junk down here. Now, I don't know how to use my TV very well. This is some kind of speaker that works, and I got speakers all through the house. I don't know how to work none of these yet, okay? They showed me, I don't know what to do. It is what it is, all right? But this is my bedroom. For me personally, I like a more quaint bedroom, all right? Some of y'all got bigger bedrooms than mine. Like my sister, she lives in Texas. One of my sisters, her bedroom is way bigger than mine. You know how y'all like those big old houses with big old bedrooms. I like something a little smaller, where it feels small. That's why the room is black. When the curtains are closed, ooh, baby, it could be 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This can completely black out. You can sleep any time of day. Got that air conditioning vent blowing down. Oh my goodness, don't play with me, honey, all right? But listen, y'all, this is the closet, all right? Have you shown them my shoes yet before I even go into all this? Just in case it gets in this shot. I did not feel like changing my shoes, all right? So that's why I don't match, all right? But have you seen the shape, baby, all right? Look at the shape, all right? So that's what I'm saying, honey. I'm gonna be 40 in just over a year. That's right. This is my closet, okay? So I got 2 sides of my closet, all right? This is my Malcolm side, and this is my MJ side. And let me explain what that means, and I'm gonna show you some of the frocks, all right? So for me, what I've accepted is that we all have duality, okay? If you don't believe me, then think about how do you talk when you at your job versus how do you talk when you're around your childhood cousins and best friends and your family. It's 2 completely different people, and that's normal, that's fine. And so for me, my work allows me to be very expressive. I get to come on camera and be MJ Harris, honey, and I love that. Well, MJ likes a very bright frock. Malcolm does not, all right? So this is MJ's side of the closet, and it goes down there, all right? You are not going to see Malcolm at Nelson Mandela Square wearing this. That's just not gonna happen, all right? But it's very fun. You know, I love being MJ. MJ is actually my first 2 initials, Malcolm Jamal. I got the name because the person who was my ex, a lot of people know, it was my ex who got me into this industry. We were sitting on the sofa a very long time ago, and he said, baby, he's called me Sunshine. Watch that movie Harlem Nights, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, he said, Sunshine, I think you'd be amazing on camera. And I said, you think so? Because I was very introverted. I think at the time I may have been a bank teller. And I was just like, you think so? And I did it, and he was right. So anywho, this is MJ's side of the closet. You know, and one of the things about MJ, believe it or not, is MJ does not wear a lot of designer clothes at all. A lot of this stuff is stuff that I've gotten online at like Amazon.com. I'll go into little shops and get things. Most of the stuff is not expensive at all. Why? Well, for practical purposes, because I gotta go through a lot of clothes. And so it doesn't make sense to do the designer stuff. For me, you have the occasional designer piece, but I'm not a big designer kind of person. All right, that's just me, nothing wrong with that. More of MJ, all right? Sometimes I do wear MJ stuff in day-to-day life when I want to be cute. And then this is Malcolm. Look at this. This is my normal stuff. I'm normally like I don't know how many white shirts. These drawers are filled with more of the same. This is Malcolm, you know, and I like that about myself. I get to have all that duality. Now, if you're wondering why I have a pillow sitting in the chair, it's because these wonderful LED panels, they don't turn off. You can't turn the light off. So this room gets completely blacked out, and you feel like you're in a spaceship at night because it makes the room completely blue because it's bright. So this is what I do at night. All right, I got this big old home and I got to put a pillow in front. That's why I always have a pillow here. It's not that I forgot to put the pillow away, it's because that's there. Okay, come on into my bathroom. Let me throw this away. Okay. So this is my bathroom, my boudoir. It's a cutie, all right? It does what it needs to do. I've got my big old soaking tub right here that I never, ever, ever use because I don't get in the bathtub. I like showering. I got my big soaking tub. And then, you know, one of the best features in here is towel warmer, which I don't use because it's not near the shower. But it's a nice feature to say that I have, all right? And then I've got my nice shower, which is like a steam room, my toilet or water closet as the classy people call it. And I'm starting to build my perfume collection now here in South Africa. Okay, I love my perfumes. I had to leave them behind in California because you can't carrying all that around. But this is my bathroom, okay? All right, y'all, so let's have a conversation about what is it like to live in South Africa? What is it like to date in South Africa? What is it like in South Africa? Because I know a lot of y'all asked me, and I'm gonna be upfront with y'all, okay? I am a black man. So obviously my perspective is gonna be colored by that because the way I've experienced the world before here is as a black man, so my comparison is colored by that. If you don't believe that race colors your experience on a day-to-day basis, then honey, you come from a very privileged position and I would love to experience how you live life, all right? But for the rest of us, it does affect us, all right? When it comes to living here, I'm gonna tell you up front, it is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful place to live. Now, I'm gonna say this up front, my experience is colored by the fact that I've been here for 6 months, and you'll talk to different South Africans, and sometimes they're like, why did you move here? What were you trying to leave? And I've seen some South Africans and met some South Africans who are like, I see why you're here. You know, I love it here. People have different opinions. It's the same thing in America. I think that people, you know, embrace their country in different ways based on their own experiences. But for me, it has been a really good experience. And I will say, first of all, because I will say, you know, growing up for me, I grew up between the suburbs of Dallas and the suburbs of DC. And in those places, I grew up in largely minority communities. So some of the very just in your face kind of racism that some folks I know have experienced, I didn't really experience that. I was kind of shielded by it because everyone around me looked just like me. So I just didn't have that experience. But as I got older and started, you know, having more success and being able to live in different neighborhoods that I dreamed about being able to live in, I would definitely say that I started experiencing some of those things that people had told me about over the years that I had seen on TV. And I was like, this does not feel good. And I felt like no matter how much money I made, no matter how successful I became, it never insulated me from that reality that not everybody wanted me to be their neighbor. It just is what it is. And for me, that is not something that I have experienced here. I have found that being here, South Africa is extremely diverse. Whatever you think Africa looks like, get that out of your mind, okay? Racially, ethnically, get that out of your mind. South Africa specifically has 4 different racial groups here. You have got Black people, you've got colored people, which I know in America they kind of consider to not be a great word, but that is a word that is not in any way negative here. It's acknowledging a group of people who, how I would describe in America, you probably describe them as mixed in America. So you have white people, which is white people. And then you have got Indian people, and there's a lot of Indian people here. I would say you're gonna find a lot of them, particularly in Durban, but they are all throughout the country. So these are 4 distinctly different racial groups. And you know, of course, there's mixing within the groups, and there's people who've moved here from other countries because South Africa, I don't know if it's still the #1 economy in Africa, but it's definitely at least within the top 2 or 3. And so it invites a lot of people here to be able to work and grow businesses here. So you are around all types of people at all times. I think that no matter what your racial background is, you can find community here and feel very comfortable here. And that is something that I like because it's a true melting pot. Now that also flows over into how does it feel dating here? Anything you want, you're gonna be able to find it here. All right, I'm gonna speak heavily to women right now and to gay men. If you are looking for a man who wants to just be a player and just wants to have his fun, they got plenty of them here, okay? If you looking for a man who is like literally like, I'm looking for marriage, for family, to build community with you, my God, it is overflowing with them here. I'm gonna even say this, and no shade to my American men. I love y'all, I love y'all, I love y'all. It's been a wonderful experience dating y'all. but I would take these African men any day of the week, okay? I'm gonna tell you this right now. Why? Because for me personally, I am very relationship oriented. That doesn't mean that there's none of that in America, but what I will say is that I felt like, especially living in LA, I felt like LA was like the most relationship avoided place on earth. I feel like that's the only place you're gonna meet these men who are like permanent Peter Pans. They are constantly trying to be younger and younger, chasing after the carrot of a career, and relationships have no place within their life. You know, and then if you do meet them, it's constantly pulling teeth to try to move towards a relationship. I don't wanna deal with that. Because relationships are so much a part of the fabric of the society here, family is so much a part of the fabric of the society here, I have found that I've met far more men here who are very vocal. My female friends have told me the same thing. Female friends who've moved here from America, who are much more vocal about saying, I'm interested in you. I want to date you. They are bringing up the conversations in a lot of cases about what are we and where are we going. That's not to say that every man here is like that. You have some men who want to play the field as well. But I will say that I have experienced that by and large, you are going to come in contact with men here who date very different compared to what you're used to. And I'm gonna tell you up front, it can be very jarring for you because the way some of the men date here, you're like, oh my God, is he rushing? Is he love bombing me? No, that's just how he does. He's interested in you. And it can even go further because this happened to two of my female friends. Well, I'll tell you the story, one of them. She went on a date with a guy, had a wonderful time. That mine just happened to two of them. And they're both from America. Had a wonderful time on the date. Right? Weeks later, she's still going out with him. And then he asked her, are you seeing anybody else? She says, yeah, I'm seeing I go out with other people occasionally. And he got upset. He's like, he was hurt really. He says, what do you mean? Like, I thought you were dating me. And she's like, I am dating you, but I'm seeing other people. We're not exclusive yet. And he's like, why would you be dating multiple people if you're getting to know me? And it threw her off at first. Both of the women who told me this, I heard this from two separate women who don't know each other. In that situation, it threw them off at first. But what they had to realize was that the approach to dating can be different here when it comes for a lot of men and women. A lot of them are dating with marriage in mind, or dating with commitment in mind, or dating with family in mind, and they're not just here to waste their time. And so with that said, it's a level of intentionality. And again, that doesn't mean that everybody in other places don't date like this, or that you're not gonna find any of these people in America or Europe or elsewhere. What I am saying is that I've seen it be far more prevalent here. And so for me, based on my mindset, being very relationship oriented, I have preferred my dating experience here way more than I've enjoyed it anywhere else I've ever lived in my life. I've dated wonderful men before here, but those men was like finding a needle in a haystack sometimes. Here, it's not a matter of if he's relationship oriented, it just matters, are you all compatible? You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, the core value of wanting a relationship is there, and that's wonderful, okay? So I hope I'm not overselling it, but okay. So, all right. The other question y'all always ask me about is, and there's a couple of them, y'all ask me about how safe is it to live here. I'm gonna address that. Y'all ask me about cost of living as well. So here's the thing about cost of living. It is relative, okay? So my perspective on cost of living as a business owner from America, which usually has one of the strongest currencies compared to any other currency out there, it's gonna be very different than someone else's perspective who may be from here, who may earn their living here, or who may be coming from a country with not as strong of a currency. So what I will say is this: South Africa is a place that has a very large wealth divide, okay? You have some people who are some of the richest people in the world here, and you have some people who are struggling to access basic necessities. And that is no different than any other country, because you can say the same thing about America. You can say the same thing about Europe, European countries, you can say that about anywhere, okay? But I will say that situation can be a little bit more visible here. So from that perspective, what I will say is this: as an American, I have experienced that South Africa is more affordable for me. Okay, it's a lot more affordable for folks I know who moved here to retire. It's very affordable from that perspective. I will also tell you this: when it comes to being here, you also have to recognize that your experience is not going to be everyone else's experience here. So from that perspective, you know, one of the things that I really discourage people from doing, and I kind of get very uncomfortable when people do this, is they like to talk about how cheap it is. Oh, it's so cheap, it's so cheap. I don't like that, because my thing is, that is a word that is truly relative, and what you count as cheap could be crazy expensive for the next person, where that could be a week of their salary. You see? So my thing is, if you come here and you find that your experience here from a spending perspective is nice, that's wonderful, enjoy that. But be very conscious about how you speak about it, especially when you're speaking to people who are here. I'll give you an example. I was sitting at this little event and I saw this whole group of people standing there talking, right? It was 3 men who were South African and 1 person who was not South African. The non-South African was talking about something that they had bought, some article of clothing or something like that. And he was saying, oh my gosh, it is so cheap. It only costs X, Y, Z, A, B, C. Now the 3 South Africans who were standing there, they all are like, one was an attorney and the other 2 are like managers in some kind of business. So they're higher earners, right? But I could look at their facial expressions when he was like, it's so cheap, it's so cheap. You can see on their face, that's still pretty expensive, this. You see? And so to me, I think that you just need to be conscious of that. But I will say overall, compared to places I've lived, I do think that you can enjoy a greater quality of life here than say compared to like a Los Angeles or a New York, where it's a struggle in those places. Even for someone like me who has done pretty well in his life, there would be times within my career where I'm like, how am I gonna be able to afford to retire and maintain my quality of life? I got two growing boys, I got family, how am I gonna be able to retire? I don't have that concern anymore. I will say that, all right? So everyone's experience is different, but I will say that I've experienced this as a place that's a lot more comfortable for me to be able to build my future here and feel comfortable with that. When it comes to safety, let's talk about that real fast. So you're gonna go online, if you type in how safe is South Africa, you're gonna see 2 different things. You're gonna see some videos that are gonna say it's horrible, it's a war zone. Before I moved here, this woman convinced me, I remember she was DMing with me, and if you see this right now, this is why I stopped DMing with you, to be quite honest with you. Because she tells me, she's like, it's so unsafe there, you're gonna, you're probably gonna get hijacked at different points in time. Like, she made it sound like the most awful place on earth. You thought I was going to a war zone. And so that really scared me. And I was like, well, why? For this to be one of the wealthiest countries in Africa, why would so many middle class, affluent, and super affluent people be here if it was so dangerous for everybody? So for me, when it comes to safety, I would say it comes down to 2 things. First thing is your common sense. You have to use common sense no matter where you go. The same common sense that kept me safe in Los Angeles is the same common sense that keeps me safe here, okay? I make sure that I don't do stupid stuff like walk around in dark alleys at night. I make sure that wherever I go is well lit and well populated. The same safety precautions I would take in any other major city, I take in the major cities of South Africa. So from that perspective, I don't feel that it is any more unsafe for me here than anywhere else. Also, you need to be very conscious and very careful about looking at videos online and information out there that will tell you this country is all out unsafe. Because first of all, look at who's putting up those videos. I'm gonna leave it at that, all right? The second thing I will say is this. In a lot of cases, it's like a heat map. The crime in a lot of cases is more concentrated in certain areas that more than likely you might not find yourself in, A, as a tourist, or B, as someone who's choosing to live here long term. The reality is that given the wealth disparity, certain areas do seem to be prone to more crime than others. It's not fair, but it is a reality. So just using common sense around where you go, what you do, and if you do want to venture out to see certain areas, it might be helpful to make sure that you're doing that with someone who is an expert in the area, someone who knows the area and the area knows them, all right? So that's just something I would recommend. The other issue is when it comes to load shedding, and I'm gonna say this real fast and wrap up. And so with load shedding, that's the only other thing that I would say to consider, which is that basically, load shedding is that certain times of day, the power can go out. Now, I will say, I'm not gonna say the whys of it all, because there's so many people who have different opinions on the whys of it all. I'm new here, I don't know all of that. But what I will say is that when it comes to load shedding, as a tourist, you're probably not gonna experience it very much, but if you do choose to stay here long term, it is gonna be helpful for you to maybe choose a building or choose a home that has a backup power supply if that's feasible for you. And fortunately, there are a lot of buildings that have that. So overall, I would give South Africa a 10. It is extremely racially diverse. If you come here, you're gonna see everybody here. It reminds you of America from that perspective. I feel like it's a very inclusive place where you can feel very comfortable. In terms of quality of life and affordability, I do think that it's a pretty affordable place. Of course, you need to make decisions that allow you to be here in an affordable way, because you can come here and splurge and spend a lot of money. I always say there's American rich and then there's African rich, okay? Okay, I was out somewhere the other day, and the dude beside me was like, he was saying what he did for a living. He said he owns like half the rubber farms or whatever you call them, the farms that make rubber in some country. I was like, well, he's like rich. Like, forget you own an app. He own like, they need that for cars. You see what I'm saying? So there are people here with a lot of money, and there's a lot of ways to spend your money here. But if you want to live in a way that's very reasonable, it's a great place for that too. So nonetheless, this is kind of my review on South Africa. I love it. It's been absolutely wonderful for me. And I'm so happy to call it my home, and my boys love it too. So anyway, y'all, go ahead and click like and click share. And if there are any other topics you want me to cover, just let me know.